Hi, I'm Kimberly, and today's video is about the astrology of October 2021. And I'm going to do an overview first, and then I'll talk sign by sign. And I'm going to share my screen. Here's the chart starting October 1st. So you can see we are at 9 Libra with the sun, Libra season. And the first thing I'm going to point out is the Mercury square Pluto. You probably know that Mercury is retrograde. It happened a few days ago. Here is Mercury, 24, and it is square Pluto. So this, because they're both retrograde, it's going to last at least a week. Mercury is real slow moving, and Pluto is super, super slow. So Libra, Capricorn, communication and extreme things. So you could say communication could get extreme, and it's a tense square. So definitely a challenge, a conflict communication wise. So let's just look at these three planets. We got 3 in Libra. And I talked about this in September, how there's a lot of emphasis on Libra and air and how it's trine the Aquarius signs over here. So we got an emphasis on air signs. And the first 10 days is where most of the action is for the month. On October 3rd, we have a Mercury trine Jupiter. So Mercury's going backwards. It's going to trine here. They're both retrograde, and it starts the month off with that, which this is actually helpful for communication. So we got the square, and then a few days later, we got the trine. So you see this little triangle here. And so that's an easier aspect. So we got extreme communication, but Jupiter can come in and temper that. We get a little bit more ease with that. And at the end of the month, Mercury and Jupiter will be trine again. So you get a second chance at the end. So the main thing happening is that we get this alignment with Mercury going backwards, Sun going forwards, going to join with Mars. And then we have the moon, which is making its way up to the new moon. Move forward a little bit. So here we have moon in Libra, and you see it's getting ready to create the new moon. It's the day before. Now look, we got our Mars Sun conjunction 13 degrees. So this is a pile up in Libra. Moon comes along. We got the new moon the next day. Whoops, that went a little fast here. So just in a few hours, it's going to be at 13. And so we'll have Moon, Sun, Mars at 13 Libra. Then Moon moves on, and then we get this just a few days later. Mercury, Mars, and Sun at 16 degrees. So that's a lot of emphasis on Libra. So Libra, if you're listening, this is an overview, but obviously the limelight's on you. So the new moon, Libra, that means a new beginning. So that means relationships. How do you relate to other people? Mercury's retrograde. It's a time for a review. I mentioned this last month. What you want to look at now is where Venus is. And Venus now, by this time, it has moved into Sagittarius. Look at this right here. Venus conjunct South Node. So it was in Scorpio. Actually, let's go back. The new moon is ruled by Venus while Venus is in Scorpio. And that is, it's not the easiest position for Venus to be in. Too indulgent here. So that rules over this new moon. There's a Scorpio influence here. Taking kind of maybe doing a deep dive into your relationship. That's a good idea for the new moon. But Venus doesn't stay there very long. Just a couple of days later, it moves into Sagittarius. So all this all this Libra energy is now ruled by Venus and Sagittarius. So that energy is going to shift and change. And then when Venus joins with South Node here, that definitely weakens Venus a little bit, makes her a little bit more lazy. And even we got the moon that just crosses over there. So moon for a few hours is with Venus and the South Node. Your inspiration may be a little lower than usual. Fire is where we get our drive and inspiration. Our creativity is really fired up. So it's definitely low right now, especially because we only have this amount of fire. Really just one planet in fire, because moon doesn't stay here very long. So Venus will move on through the month, and it will sextile. It will be in a harmonious aspect to Libra. So that does help. Plus, we got the trine energy with the Aquarius. So that's helpful too. So your relationships are going to be worked on, how you relate to others. But there will be progress. It may not progress as much as you like, as quickly as you like, or maybe exactly the way you want it to, but it will progress. Now let's go on to, so that's like the culmination, the October 9th here. And then on the 10th, things start to calm down a little bit. We get a nice Venus sextile Saturn. So here we are, Saturn, Venus. Like I mentioned, a sextile with Venus and that's coming up, sextile Saturn first. So we got planets working together here. Venus is your romantic inclinations, Saturn being your limits. So Saturn working with your limits in regards to how you relate to people and your romantic ideals. So we got some nice aspects after that. Sun trine Jupiter. Sun right here is going to trine Jupiter. And then we have Venus sextile Mercury, which is what I was talking about earlier. So that's starting to happen. Even with Mars trine Jupiter. Then we get to a Mars, or actually before I get to there, let's do the full moon. Full moon in Aries. All right, so we still have Mars close to the sun here. So even though it's a full moon, shining light on the moon, emphasizing moon energy, Mars is still closely linked here. And Mars rules over Aries. So we still got a Mars and Libra energy regarding the full moon. Aries is very fiery and get up and go. And Mars is still kind of being held back. It's forced to focus on both sides, the other person and themselves, not just themselves. So that's your full moon. If you want to think back to the spring, when we had a new moon in Aries, so that was 6 months ago, wherever Aries is in your chart, whatever you started then could be seeing the fruits of your labor at this full moon, shining a light on that Aries energy. And just like the Libra moon that happens in the earlier part of the month, that new moon in Libra, whatever you start, whatever change or new thing you have in your in a relationship, keep track of what happens, what progresses for 6 months, because you'll see hopefully the benefits of what you did in October. You'll see it 6 months when you have a full moon in Libra. We're in October 20th, the full moon. The next day is a Mars square Pluto. Now here we've got Mars, here's Pluto, here's that square. So that one is tough, it's a square. So Mars is tied into Sun because they're still really close together. Mars is the charge ahead soldier. We got Pluto here with extremes, and Capricorn, which is definitely a leader type, someone at the top of the ladder of the hierarchy. So they're careful of arguments, careful of any accidents here. And now Mercury went back direct on the 19th. So now it's at 10 degrees. It's sitting here for quite a few days because now it's stationed. It's kind of now from our perspective, it went backwards. Now it's changing again. It's starting to go forward. It's at 10 degrees. And we are getting near the end of the month. The next one I want to bring up is the Venus square Neptune. It's on the 26th. All right, Venus and Sagittarius square Neptune in Pisces. So this is a challenge for a creative project here. So the very nice positive part of Neptune is artistic endeavors and connecting with the divine, feeling inspiration to create your art, especially in the theater or movie industry. So Venus, very creative, loves beauty and art. They worked well together. And in this cycle, as Venus goes around, and in one year it will conjunct and then square and then oppose and then square again Neptune. So whatever creative project you're working on right now, there may be some adjustment so that you can get to your final goal. And now the rest of the month, we just have one more square, more of a challenge with authorities on the 30th. Sun square Saturn. Sun, 7 Scorpio, Saturn, 7 Aquarius. So Sun, a lot of times, is a teacher or a mentor or boss, and so can Saturn. So there's a tense square here, especially in fixed signs. Hard for one side to budge on its opinion here. So let's see how you can work with this energy. The moon here in Virgo is in a nice sextile to the sun. We got this opposition here, but it's still quite a few degrees away. But we got the moon here. So for the time that this lasts, just a day or two, moon is there to help along with details and analysis. Try to be more logical in how you deal with this challenge. Other than that, we just had a Venus sextile Jupiter, and now the last thing is Mercury trine Jupiter. So on the last day, which is Halloween, we got Mercury trine Jupiter. So that's your second chance of smoothing things over, any communication problems we had when Mercury is retrograde. Jupiter is there to help smooth it out. Just want to go, now let's point out, so Scorpio season starts the 22nd, 23rd, 0 Scorpio. And Mars, which rules Scorpio, is still in Libra. So even though technically it's Scorpio season on the 22nd, it's not really until the 30th when Mars goes into Scorpio that we really got the full-on Scorpio energy. So now Mars is in its home sign. It rules Scorpio, and now it rules over the sun in Scorpio. So it's a much more powerful Scorpio energy, and it's just in time for Halloween. That will be a good time. So now this is kind of the precursor to November. We have some difficult squares happening with the fixed signs. But Mars behaves well here. Mars and Scorpio, it manifests it's courage and determination here. It's deep. It's to dig deep and pull up that reserve of courage and persistence here. So that starts at the end of October. This is the overview for October. And now just keep following for your sign, and I'll talk about these main themes and affecting each particular sign. Here are the horoscopes for each sign for October 2021. So I have this set up for an Aries, 0 Aries chart. And we're going to start with Aries. I'm going to go on to Libra, then Cancer, and then Capricorn, the cardinal signs. So Aries, Libra, Cancer, Capricorn. This makes a square or a cross. So for Aries, so I've already, in my overview, already talked about the general happenings of October. And the new moon is full of drama with Mars and Mercury really close by. So here's your new moon, 13 degrees, Mars, retrograde Mercury, 7th house of Libra. So obviously this is set up for Aries rising, but Aries sun can look at this too. It's all that Libra energy is opposite Aries, even if you're sun in Aries. So relationships, relating with each other. The important thing here is Venus starts out in Scorpio during this new moon and then changes into Sagittarius. So more the emphasis of all the Libra energy will be Venus and Sag in the 9th house, 9 signs away from Aries. So the relating will probably have to do with people that are that you know through school, like through school, a religious community, traveler, like foreign people. If you have maybe a lot of foreign friends. So all these relating issues are going to relate to those types of people in your life. Because you're Aries, and then Sagittarius is 9 signs from you. So that describes other people in these types of areas, education, religious or spiritual communities, and foreigners or foreign travel. So that Mercury retrograde is what makes communication hard. So that's why I use the word drama. We got Mars here, which can create conflicts because it's not in a happy sign. So a lot happening with your partners, Aries. The new moon in Aries will be over here. And so that will be a time for you to shine. That will be a time for Aries to really focus on yourself and what you've accomplished in this last 6 months since spring, when there was a new moon in Aries. So those are the moons. Oh, let me just point out, when we have that full moon, Mars is going to be still in Libra, but at the end of the month, it will go into Scorpio, which is stronger. Mars rules Scorpio and Mars rules Aries. So more towards the end of the month, you'll feel more energetic. We have a sun. All of this conjuncts each other. Sun, moon comes along, and then sun and Mars, sun and Mercury. So it's just all happening in Libra. One more thing here I want to bring up is the Venus and Neptune square. That's the one I find most interesting. We have some other squares and sextiles for the month, but so the most interesting square I see coming along here is Venus and Sagittarius coming over here when it squares Neptune in your 12th house. So Pisces is behind Aries. It's the sign that's hard for you to see, whatever sign is behind you. So that Venus square Neptune, that's usually a little bit of an adjustment or a minor crisis in a creative project. So maybe there's something to do with foreign travel and something that's not clear about your motivation or what you're trying to accomplish in this creative project. Venus and Neptune creative project. Venus suggesting it could be work related, but specifically in regards to in a school situation, educational some situation, or religious and spiritual communities. So these are now on to Libra. I set it up for Libra rising, but Libra sun, you can look at this as well. So first house, Libra, this is the new moon. So we're going to go over the new moon, the full moon, and the major conjunctions happening the first 10 days of the month. And then the Venus square at Neptune, the most interesting aspect going on. Libra is spending a lot of time on evaluating themselves and how they relate to other people. So Libra energy is more, because there's so much in Libra, it's your time to focus on you and the relationship, not the other person. Whereas Aries needs to focus on the other person. Libra needs to focus on themselves. That's what this Mercury retrograde is helping you with. And then Mars is a little difficult in Libra, but can give you the courage to work on those relating skills. Venus rules over this new moon. It's in Scorpio here, but just for a couple of days, then Venus goes into Sag. I talk about this in the general overview. So for Libra, it's highlighting more communication, more, it might involve siblings. It could be your relationship with a sibling, or how your routine commuting travel on a regular basis is like, because the third house here, routine travel. So all about you and your identity and your personality, Libra. And then when we get to the full moon, okay, on the 20th, the full moon, here's Aries, moon in Aries. But you can still see that Mars is here, Mercury's here. There's still a lot in Libra. So this whole month, all the way through the month, even when after the sun goes into Scorpio, Libra, is time to work on yourself. The moon here is just going to help you figure out how you're going to improve how you relate to other people in that full moon. Mars is getting ready to go into Scorpio just in a few days. That happens at the end of the month. Then Venus on the 26th will be square to Neptune. So for Libra, that means, again, this is like your neighborhood, your personal community, your local travel, how you relate to your local environment and your neighborhood. Squaring to Neptune in the 6th house, which can be your work environment and any health issues, like how you deal with stress in relation to your work environment. So, but Venus and Neptune are a creative project. So there's a challenge here for you to make it better, whatever creative project in relation to these areas of communication or your local neighborhood and your work environment. It's a chance for you to make an adjustment and make that project even better. So these are the horoscopes for October 2021 for all the signs. I do it by the modes of the signs because it just makes more sense. You can see the polarities between the signs. So I hope you find this video useful. Please let me know in the comments and like the video, and I hope you'll subscribe. Thank you. Now let's go over Cancer. You can see here Cancer is on the first house. Cancer rising. All this Libra energy, this new moon energy, is Libra in the fourth house. So this is going to relate to your family, the family you grew up or the family you're creating, any domestic situation here, how you relate to your family. That's what Libra is all about, balancing out these relationships. Mars is going to require some work. If there could be some conflict because Mars not thrilled with being in Libra. Could be some frustration. But if you watched the overview, I mentioned all the help you get from the other planets in a sextile with Venus, the trine with Jupiter and Saturn. And Venus rolls over Libra. So here it is. Starts out in your fifth house of social life. When it goes into Scorpio, it's in Scorpio in the fifth house, and then it goes into Sagittarius in the sixth. So there will be definite work environment that will relate somehow to a family situation. So maybe your work pattern or routine right now is busy and it's affecting someone in your family. Now for the full moon, it's in Aries. It's opposite all this Libra energy. So even though there's a highlight on that moon in your career house, the 10th house, it's still going to bring you back in how you are relating to your family. So something about your career or the path, your career path, that the big vision of your career path and how that relates back to your family. And then we're going to go over the Venus square Neptune. So Venus hanging out in the sixth house with your work routine. Could be some health issues. It could also be small pets. That house rules over small pets. Square to your Neptune. So Venus and Neptune, most likely a creative project. So something to do with work and maybe a school or church community or foreigners. It's other people in these institutions relating to your work routine. So some creative project there is needing an adjustment. So these are the horoscopes for October 2021 for all the signs. I do it by the modes of the signs because it just makes more sense. You can see the polarities between the signs. So I hope you find this video useful. Please let me know in the comments and like the video, and I hope you will subscribe. Thank you. All right, now we are looking at Capricorn. You can see Capricorn right there. The opposite of Cancer, the last of the cardinal signs, and all the Libra energy, the new moon, the Mars and Mercury and Sun, all happening in the 10th house. So there's going to be an emphasis on career here. And how your relationships in your career. So the big vision career path. Are you making the right connections and relationships, building the relationships you need in your to go in your career where you want to go? And so it's all ruled by Venus here in Scorpio, which moves quickly into Sagittarius. And that's where you get help. I would suggest the 12th house, using that Venus there to maybe meditate, just do any type of meditation, even if it's just 5 minutes or just mindful practice and visualizing your career path and how you might want to improve that with relationships. And then for the full moon, it's a little bit ahead here, but sorry, I said Aquarius, I meant Aries. Moon and Aries at the end of Aries, opposite all the Libra stuff. So Mars is still hanging out near the sun. So there's still emphasis here, but now there's just a little bit of input from the family. So that full moon highlights, puts a light on how the family factors into the career path. And then into the Neptune and Venus square. So this happens near the end of the month, the 26th. When it gets to 22 Sag, it's going to be square Neptune, or 20 degrees. And so this square is affecting you more personally in your local neighborhood community, your commuting kind of activities, that day-to-day routine, and squaring Venus in that 12th house. That's why I suggest that visualization or meditation. Especially with Jupiter, Sag being ruled by Jupiter, which is a big picture type of planet. Venus in Sagittarius makes it easier to look at that big picture. So the square is just an adjustment there. Let's move on to the fixed signs. Now I'm going to talk about Taurus, and I'm just going to talk about it, and instead of sharing my screen, I'm going to go through all the fixed signs. And Taurus is ruled by Venus, and we got all this Libra energy happening, and it's for Taurus, it's in relation, Taurus rising mostly in the 6th house. So that is your work environment and any health issues or small pets. So Libra energy, how you are relating to your work environment, maybe your relationships with your coworkers or people that work under you. That's going to be highlighted. Think of it as a new beginning. And for the full moon, it will be in your 12th house. So that full moon in Aries is going to highlight more of your the internal thinking. That full moon in Aries is going to highlight your internal thinking regarding your relationships. So we still have all that Libra energy in your 6th house, but with the Aries full moon opposite that, it's shining a light in that area, but it's to help you with those relationships regarding your work environment. And then for the Venus square Neptune, it's happening in your 8th and 11th houses. So 8th is about your other people's money and resources. So your 11th house is your friends and alliances. So how are you relating and working on a creative project regarding getting money from other people, other people's money, the 8th, and then the 11th with your friends and alliances. So if you have a creative project in those two areas, the square is suggesting an adjustment, some kind of change to get you to your goal of finishing that project. So these are the horoscopes for October 2021 for all the signs. I do it by the modes of the signs because it just makes more sense. You can see the polarities between the signs. So I hope you find this video useful. Please let me know in the comments and like the video, and I hope you will subscribe. Thank you. And now I'm going to go on to Scorpio. And Scorpio is the opposite of Taurus. It's ruled by Mars. And that new moon in Libra is in the 12th house. So this Libra energy is really highlighting your internal motivations and thinking, your personal agenda and relationships. So it's a really, that Mercury retrograde is going to make you really review that. And then when you have the full moon in Aries, which is opposite that in your work environment, so you can see how that's going to relate to maybe how you relate to your coworkers. the sixth house is also a health issue or small pets. So it could also, that Libra energy, and then the full moon could be highlighting one of those areas too. So these are the horoscopes for October 2021 for all the signs. I do it by the modes of the signs because it just makes more sense. You can see the polarities between the signs. So I hope you find this video useful. Please let me know in the comments and like the video, and I hope you will subscribe. Thank you. And now on to Leo, another fixed sign. And the new moon is in your third house. So that is more of that Libra energy is more personal and your immediate environment, your local community or neighborhood, and how you travel around, get around in that area, in that neighborhood. So Libra energy, that's all the relating to that. And then your full moon is opposite that in your ninth house. And that's that Aries energy, that get up and go energy. So it's how are you getting there? So ninth house is things that are more foreign to it's other communities in the spiritual community or religious or educational organizations, communities. So how is that balancing out those two? Now I'm going to go on to the Venus square Neptune. That's your fifth and eighth house. So fifth is your social life, what you do for fun and entertainment. And the eighth house is other people's money, others' resources. So there's a creative project, Venus and Neptune square, that needs an adjustment. So it could have something to do with your social life and how that is working with maybe your friends or partners and their resources. Are those two things jiving? Because that square is making you be aware and of adjustment that you need to make. So these are the horoscopes for October 2021 for all the signs. I do it by the modes of the signs because it just makes more sense. You can see the polarities between the signs. So I hope you find this video useful. Please let me know in the comments and like the video, and I hope you will subscribe. Thank you. So for Aquarius, we have a new moon in Libra in your ninth house. So it's opposite of Leo, what I just talked about. So that Libra energy is about how you're relating in these kind of more bigger picture organizations of religion or spirituality or higher education and foreigners, foreign travel. The new moon energy of Libra, there's a lot of emphasis in Libra in your ninth house. So it's going to be, maybe you will travel to see someone important that you're in a relationship with, or maybe it's one of those other areas that I suggested. So that's the new moon energy, that new beginning energy. And then for the full moon energy in the third house, that's the Aries, shining light on Aries. And how is your immediate environment affecting how you're relating to this foreign travel or those organizations I mentioned? So that's what that full moon is doing, shining a light, giving you an idea of how to relate better with the Libra energy. And for Aquarius, the Venus square and Neptune, that's affecting your 11th house and your second house. So that's your personal finances and incoming resources. And the 11th, your friends and alliances and hopes and wishes. So how are those two working? So maybe you have a goal or a project, some kind of creative project, because it's Venus and Neptune. And so what are you seeing that has to be adjusted? Maybe you need to bring more money in, and that will help improve your alliances that you have in the 11th house, or help you get towards those wishes or dreams. So that square is showing you that's time for an adjustment. So these are the horoscopes for October 2021 for all the signs. I do it by the modes of the signs because it just makes more sense. You can see the polarities between the signs. So I hope you find this video useful. Please let me know in the comments, and like the video, and I hope you'll subscribe. Thank you. And now we'll go on to the mutable signs. So now on to Gemini, and Gemini is the first mutable sign. The mutable signs are the most adaptable, and the mutable signs are the most adaptable. So the Libra moon, the Libra new moon, the new beginning, is in your 5th house. And I just want to mention that's a really great trine, your 5th house to Gemini rising. So because it's air sign, that's a really nice trine, that new moon energy, that Libra energy. And we have Aquarius happening with Jupiter and Saturn. So it's like for Gemini, it's a nice big trine here. So able to really flow and move that energy. So Libra energy is in the 5th house of your social life and entertainment, what you do for fun. So how are you relating to the people, your friends that you're spending time with? So those fun relationships, that's what Libra, Mercury, especially Mercury retrograde in Libra, is wanting you to focus on. And the full moon in the 11th house of your alliances, like the groups that you are working with and that are your supporters. So think allies and supporters in the 11th house. So that full moon shining light there. How are you relating back and forth between what you're doing is your personal social life affecting the alliances or the supporters that you have up in the 11th. And now going on to Venus square Neptune, this creative project is evolving the 7th and the 10th for Gemini rising. So because Venus is in your 7th house and Neptune is in your 10th. So this is definitely a more significant for the mutable signs than it was for the others. This Venus Neptune square, because it's on your angles. So 7th is important, and even legal relationships, like your partnerships with other people, like marriage, relating to your career, that big picture career path. So how do you need to make an adjustment in those two areas? So these are the horoscopes for October 2021 for all the signs. I do it by the modes of the signs because it just makes more sense. You can see the polarities between the signs. So I hope you find this video useful. Please let me know in the comments, and like the video, and I hope you will subscribe. Thank you. Okay, now we're going to go on to Sagittarius and Libra energy. New moon is in the 11th. So it's the opposite of Gemini. So now that focus, that relationship energy of Libra is in your alliance, your house of supporters and hopes and wishes. So how can you improve your relating to these supporters of yours or your allies? And then that full moon in Aries highlights your social life. How is that linked? How is your personal life? Are you linking them too much, or maybe you're not linking them enough? How do you balance that out? And the Venus square Neptune is affecting you personally, Sagittarius rising in that first house. Venus is in your first house, squaring Neptune in your fourth house. So you and a family member or a family situation. So what project or what goal do you have? How do you fit in with this family situation? How can you adjust and make that happen? So these are the horoscopes for October 2021 for all the signs. I do it by the modes of the signs because it just makes more sense. You can see the polarities between the signs. So I hope you find this video useful. Please let me know in the comments and like the video, and I hope you will subscribe. Thank you. And so now we're going to go into Virgo. Virgo has that Libra new moon in the second house. So Virgo needs to focus on their personal income, how they're bringing money in. Libra energy is relating and balancing out. I want this, but I want that. How do I get more of this? How do I get less of this? That is very much your money is linked to how you're relating to people. So really focus on that Venus for this new moon because it's ruling over the new moon, all that Libra energy. And then the full moon in Aries, the opposite now is, sorry, I'm looking at my notes. That full moon is in the 8th house. So Aries is highlighting other people's money, like how you get it. Maybe your income is coming directly from another person. Maybe it's not a company, but maybe there's help from another person. And so it's highlighting that link there. So how are you relating to your income, and how does it affect how you get money from other people? Now for the Venus square Neptune, we have the 4th house and the 7th house. So that is your family in the 4th, down at the bottom of the chart. Family, either what you grew up with or the family you're creating. And so how is that linked to a partnership, an important partnership that really stands out? The 7th is like a very significant partnership, usually a legal partnership. So what an adjustment do you have to make there? What project or goal are you working on when these two relationship areas, the family and then partnership? What needs to be adjusted? So these are the horoscopes for October 2021 for all the signs. I do it by the modes of the signs because it just makes more sense. You can see the polarities between the signs. So I hope you find this video useful. Please let me know in the comments and like the video, and I hope you will subscribe. Thank you. Now for Pisces. So the Libra energy, the new moon energy is in the 8th house for Pisces. So for Pisces, it's really now your relationship with other people's resources. So how are you working on that? So 8th house is also inheritances and taxes. It's where we also struggle to stay alive, to survive. The 8th house, there is always work to be done there. So so the new moons, that all that Libra energy is hanging out in the 8th house. So look at how you're, especially, yeah. So when that full moon comes to Aries, which is the opposite, Aries in your 2nd house, how is your spending, your ability to bring money in? How is that affecting your relationships, and how you get money from other people? Or is there other people's resources having an effect on you? Now for Venus square at Neptune. Neptune is sitting in Pisces' first house. Neptune has been there for a long time. And so Venus is coming around, it's creating a square. So what projects are personal to you that needs adjustment? So regarding your career. So Venus is up in your career area. It's squaring you, Pisces, Neptune and Pisces. So time to use that Sagittarius energy to try to be very direct and clear on what you need to adjust that relates from your career to you personally. What can you be more clear about? So these are the horoscopes for October 2021 for all the signs. I do it by the modes of the signs because it just makes more sense. You can see the polarities between the signs. So I hope you find this video useful. Please let me know in the comments and like the video, and I hope you will subscribe. Thank you.